you're going to be the third. I'm from San Francisco, if you want to know where I'm from. The beautiful San Francisco Bay Area. So there's that. And in California, in the United States. That's where I'm from. And Sydney is our sister city, I'm told, but Sydney has more places that the ferries can go. I won't go down that path anyway. All right. My name's Arlene Zones. Okay. That's enough to know for one day, I think. And so about the FI, I felt the second group had a little easier time of it, but it's all often that way because the second group has felt the touch, and so they're a little bit more calm about the fact that it can be interesting for the person they're touching. And so there was a little bit more of an atmosphere in the room of trust that this touch can be meaningful, even though I may or may not know what it is I'm meant to be doing, right? And so it was quite a nice atmosphere in the room on the second round. And on the first round, there was spikes of and then spikes, and you know, coming down, calming down, being there with the person, and then, you know, and I mean, this is why we don't train people to be Feldenkrais practitioners in 3 weekends. If you want to be, you know, obviously, if you want to become something in 50 hours, like, I'm not going to name any names, but you can get certifications in much quicker time. But one of the things about the certification for becoming a Feldenkrais practitioner is that how we use ourself, how we organize ourselves to touch another human being and sense another human being and communicate with another human being is a huge piece of it. And a lot of other modalities, if they don't include it like that. And if they did include it, they wouldn't be able to certify people in 50 hours, would they? Or whatever, okay? So, and you saw, for instance, Moshe, that beautiful video of Moshe working with that boy, Jonathan Hughes, that he learned how to crawl. I was told that you've seen that video. No. So if Moshe took that little boy and said, excuse me, wait, can you hold this for a second? If Moshe took that little boy and said, you know, look, here's your arm and you can do this, and then look, do that, and now go do, and you wouldn't have seen that outcome. And by the way, you held your breath and you couldn't feel anything. So the whole thing was how to organize yourself in the conversation so that that person can learn to feel themselves and act in a new way, even if it's, so it's very martial arts. It's like I'm doing something, but if I took you and I said, I'm just trading around who I have hold my glasses, I think I could walk over there and put them down. But you know, if I say, well, there's an arm, and there's your spine, and now you're breathing, right? Now it's a conversation. But I have to feel myself. So in the beginning, if I go around and I say you're not breathing, you don't feel yourself, you don't know where your spine is, I'm not being punitive. I'm just trying to save you time. Because you might as well get into good habits, right? Because otherwise, it takes a long time for us to feel our entire selves. It takes time, doesn't it? And all the awareness through movement lessons are leading in that direction. You know, Moshe said, if you don't know how to organize yourself, how are you going to help another person? So all of the work with awareness through movement, besides the fact that hopefully you find it quite interesting, it's also to find out, you know, how to learn to feel your entire self, and then the complexity in the beginning of trying to feel anything about myself while I touch you, it's a much higher level. So that's why it's good, in a way, I think, or I decided today, I told Margaret, no shoulder circles, let's stop, because I think it's good in the beginning just to do some very simple things that you can keep track of and that aren't so demanding that you get sucked into doing something to the person. That's the whole, yeah. I think I'm not saying anything you haven't already heard, but everybody that's leading the groups will say it in their own way, in their own words, in their own, and so that was really appearing much more in the room, and I hope you'll come to trust that. It's so powerful to touch somebody when you're there with them. To touch without ambition is the most extraordinarily powerful thing. And very few people, have ever had it. Right? Because you go to a practitioner or you go to the doctor and they want to diagnose you and they want to tell you and they know, and I know what's wrong with your shoulder and I know the moves and I know this and I know that. And you came to me because I'm really good and I'm an expert, lie down. And there's, I had a lot of that before I came to Feldenkrais, and I paid people a lot of money to tell me horrible things about myself and offer me absolutely no help for any of it. I paid them. It's unbelievable, huh? So, yeah, so we're up to something else that's incredibly dignified, I think. And I think the people, and if you have your practitioners, somebody just said to me, oh, you're my practitioner for tomorrow. I said, no, I don't belong to you, but I know. You say, I have my practitioner. So you all have your practice. Many of you, how many of you came to the training because some practitioner did some kind of work with you that you recognized was fundamentally of another quality that made you feel hope for yourself, good about yourself? Not just, oh yeah, my shoulder's going to get better, but I see a door opening. I see a window opening. I see the sun streaming in. Moshe talked about it like that sometimes, like a window opening and the light comes in. He talked about FI like that. So anyway, that's all. Just we're learning that as much as where to move the shoulder and how to and what to do, and you seem to like that practice. I mean, you had some nice things come out of it, or? The other thing maybe to say about it is that, and this will also be true in teaching awareness through movement, and it's also true in FI, is that, I'm going to take you again. I'll put the glasses. I'll have my head hold the glasses. So it's also true that, for instance, what's your name?
Shona.
Shona? Does it have an H? S-H-O-N-A? Shona? Okay. So it's also true that if let's say I touch Shona's shoulder, how long does it actually even take for her attention to locate my touch, to actually get there? You'll see this in ATM too. If I say, lie on your back and please pay attention to how your right shoulder lies on the floor, it takes time to get there, right? So it takes time if I lie on the table and you touch me for me to find the places. So that's the pacing of going slow enough that the person can find it. So if you're doing, as I saw a few people do, here, the range of motion. Okay, I think I've communicated it. Do you want to say anything? Was it interesting to go back and forth between the movement and the, so to say, what the physios call palpation, means clarifying? Was that an interesting experiment? Different than other experiments you've made with the shoulders? Okay. Am I getting too serious?
No, definitely.
Yes, Hobart. What is it?
Hobart.
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 Oh, Hobart? You don't say the T?
That's just me because
Oh, okay. Hobart.
I'm already in the next thought.
Oh, Oh, you don't have time to say your T's?
I'm excited.
Oh. Huh?
I'm just too excited.
Really? What are you excited about?
Because I just understood why I enjoyed this practice, and I wanted to say why. And it was because in the previous FI practices we've done, for me, the focus was always setting the intention, because we've emphasized that touching someone would always be good to have an intention to ask a question. In this practice, I did totally without that, actually, and just purely curiously played around. And yeah, it was fun. And the intention bit is hard for me still. Yeah.
Yeah, these are all very big words. They're very, what do we mean by an intention? And how, I mean, these are very, very big words, and they're even the paradoxes of the method that you're going to bump up against again and again and again. What does it mean to have an intention that doesn't put me in a state of ambition? And what does it mean to be open in my exploration and still be intelligent about it? So we're not going to solve it in 10 minutes. It's just there. But I think for now, anyway, until you hear otherwise, I'm doing experiments with you. I told you I've never done it that particular way. Tomorrow it'll be another way. Always looking for, Moshe said something which is important also. He said, I don't teach, I provide conditions for learning. So all I'm doing is playing with the conditions. And for you, that was a condition that led to you feeling the possibility of learning, okay? And the business of intention was not a condition in that time, in that hour, in that day. That was, but now maybe next year somebody will use the word intention and it will open something. It's just, I mean, it's very dynamic, and it's conditions, and all the concepts are very big concepts, and you get to, even in the course of your time in the world of becoming Feldenkrais person, teacher, practitioner, whatever, you'll have your own ideas about the concepts. It's such a big method, and all of you will take, different things from it and really, I don't know, live with it, love it, whatever you want. Be so excited you can't put the T into Hobart, or whatever it is. So, that's the thing. And it needs to be, I think I was telling, I don't know who I was telling, I can't remember anymore who I've said what to, but yeah, but it's all, I mean, what I would say, being with Moshe, and I was young, impressionable, and all like that, but he was definitely the most interesting person I had ever met. And he was compelling. And even if he was going to give a lecture about something, he did give these lectures, and he gave lectures in science, and that was not my background, and I don't do well with science. In those days, I would have said that. I didn't like science. I was more an artist type. And, but he could be talking about science, and I didn't have a clue how to follow it. But it was still incredibly interesting, because he knew that whatever it was he was talking about, they could lead to very big things, So it's all so I'm glad if you had a moment of finding something compelling, because I don't know if that's my intention in my time here, but it's definitely my wish. What's the difference between a wish and an intention? I don't know. But my wish is, that however great you think the Feldenkrais method is, you'll find even more things to love about it, or be interested in about it, or, and make it your own. So, all right? Good. Shall we go on with more ATM? Please lie on your back.